By now, I'm sure that many of you are fully aware about Bob Iger dumping a majority of his stock at the Walt Disney Company and everything else happening behind the scenes with all divisions over at Disney, such as Lucasfilm, Marvel Studios, Walt Disney Animation Studios, and let's not forget about the drama surrounding Pixar and the ongoing, of course, cost containment plan that's wreaking havoc on all segments of Disney as we speak. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new and like this video to see future updates. You can also follow me at Mike01. I thank you also very much for the great and kind support. So one major aspect of Bob Iger and how he's really contributing to all of the failures over at Disney has a lot to do with catering to what we have to, of course, mention here. The top three shareholders, BlackRock, Vanguard, and State Street, really funding all of the DEI nonsense getting spilled into many franchises out there like Star Wars and the Marvel Cinematic Universe, etc., etc. Now, interestingly enough, we know that Bob Iger is heading into serious damage control in a desperate attempt to really save himself, to save what he likes to call his legacy or his reputation, which he has none, by the way, at all. All of that really got X'd out multiple years ago. But what's really interesting about this whole stance has a lot to do with Bob Iger and his overall stand against the general public and their overall viewpoints of the financial situation of Disney and exactly what's going on with a lot of financial decisions that Bob Iger approved that the board of directors agreed with. Let's get into all of this. Now, specifically, alright, we know that Bob Iger is one individual that lies not just to the customers, but to the shareholders, which is ludicrous. It goes to show you how he's really trying to get away with a lot of things related to this company. Now, with Bob Iger already heading into damage control over the current financial situation at Disney, one serious development involves Iger's stance on the current status of the Walt Disney Company and its financial situation, where he delivered the following to the public. As CEO, I believe it is only fair to remain transparent and truthful to all of our shareholders and customers around the globe. As per our cost containment plan, I wanted to address the strategy that we are about to establish by pursuing small-scale productions for all of our television programs and films moving onwards. I think it's important that I address this aggressively, but we find it to be not only offensive, but also irresponsible from some of our customers, creating loud noise that this means that we are running into a financial struggle for the years to come, when this is not even the case. Our situation with all of our divisions at the Walt Disney Company is nothing more than a simple business move that will progress over the next couple of years to create a pattern to analyze, a new strategy to embrace less expensive productions for all Marvel, Star Wars, and Disney content overall across the board. I also feel it's necessary to completely, of course, acknowledge that all the misleading aspects to suggest that my decisions and others here at Disney are completely agenda-driven. That's not what the Disney Company is about. Our movement to raise rates for all of our core plans for Disney Plus and our Hulu package, while also removing content on the new streaming platform, has been carefully reviewed per engagement statistics, and we find no concern in both the short term and the long term of moving forward with those plans and strategies for those business models, and for the rest of our plans for the rate increases. I think the problem that we are dealing with right now is a loud minority making too much noise, leading others to believe that after a couple of projections that we had were off with some of our films in 2023, that this translates to us holding a concern in both the short and long term for the company. Again, this is simply not the case, and we believe that this is the agenda against the Walt Disney Company. We ask many trades and outlets to refrain from making assumptions that are blown out of proportion, that poses a risk to the many divisions that we are restructuring right now. After multiple box office miscalculations we dealt with at the tail end of 2023, we also refuse to address that this confirms any kind of trouble for both Marvel and Lucasfilm, two of our most valuable divisions here that we are also right-sizing, which will also include a reduction of the number of employees to reduce spending on our many productions. Now guys, let me stop here quick before I get to the next big thing about this. So Iger is literally admitting that Disney is indeed going through a financial crisis. I mean, we learned just a couple of days ago about how Bob Iger is dumping so much stock, and how that really is showing us even further proof that even Bob Iger himself is beginning to lack any kind of vision, or a successful vision, I guess, if you will, for the next couple of years for Walt Disney. Alright, we already know that Bob Iger has lied endlessly on camera, or, you know, through the earnings calls. I'm sure that you guys have tuned in on that on a quarterly basis, listening to him really diverting from the hard questions that really pressed on the financial status of Disney, right? So again, what's interesting about this further has a lot to do with Bob Iger pointing the finger at what he calls a loud minority, and those creating so much noise that is apparently, in his point of view, convincing others to step away from the Disney company, when in reality, guys, let's be honest, the majority of the general public are pretty much smartening up now and realizing what Disney is doing with their entertainment, both on the big screen, at home on streaming, in the theme parks, their merchandise, everything, all over. It's all agenda-driven when it comes down to Bob Iger, the board, BlackRock, Vanguard, and State Street. Moving on. He goes on to conclude, our plan is to spend less with the hope of making an even bigger profit, to use said revenue to invest in more projects for all divisions here at Disney. To the small number of customers creating the noise that we view as offensive, we also ask to let our core products speak for themselves, for their full course, to then later judge our products that we release. This goes for anything released on our streaming platform or theatrical releases, as an example. It's fair to admit that part of this problem is also fueled by some of the trades and outlets creating a false narrative about the Walt Disney Company. Now again, I think that Bob Iger is really getting desperate, much like Kathleen Kennedy. He senses the walls closing in, and he has no place to go. He's like a rat in a cage right now, alright? He's literally the mouse, and there's no way out. So when you look at stuff like this, there really is a big problem, alright? From dumping the stock to the erratic Disney stock over the past 7 to 8 months, and let's not forget about the other examples. The trend of box office failures, we saw what happened with Ant-Man 3, Indiana Jones 5, The Marvels, Wish, and that's just to name a few there, by the way, and there's more expensive failures on the horizon for 2025. Not to mention, there was also a lot of drama happening behind the scenes with Deadpool 3. We talked about that for a good 2 months. And yeah, it's been mellowing out a little bit, but there's still some trouble happening between the overall director, Sean Levy, trying to prevent the reshoots that are about to insert DEI into the third act of that film. But anyway, I digress. What's interesting about this again is the fact that Bob Iger is pointing the finger at a quote-unquote loud minority and really kind of refraining from admitting that it is indeed the majority. So guys, drop a comment below. Fill me in below in the comments what you all have to say about this, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel, and I will catch you guys later.